Hi, I'm Elena and this is Riley.
Hello everyone.
We are from Sailing the Vagabonde, which is a little sailing series that we have on YouTube. We are attempting to make a circumnavigation in our 43-foot Beneteau Cyclades, and we are heading into the Pacific, and we thought it would be a smart idea to get a Watermaker installed. So we thought we'd video the installation experience of ours and share it with you guys, and hope to make things a little easier if you are also deciding to purchase a Watermaker at some stage.
We're both very excited to be using clean energy and to be turning salt water, which we're constantly surrounded by, into fresh water, which we drink. Thanks for watching everyone, and we hope you enjoy the video.
Mail has arrived! Are you excited, Russ?
Yeah.
It's like Christmas, come early. Let's drill down. I was like, wow, that's heavy. Let's get started. These are all the parts that have come in the box, and I'm going to quickly run you through what they're used for before we get into the actual installation. So firstly, this is a sea strainer. So salt water out of the ocean comes through here. This removes any large sediments that might be in the water. Second set of filters pretty much does the same thing. This is the active carbon filter, which will dechlorinate your water. So this is the membrane. This is what will separate the brine from fresh water using the high pressure pump. So it's the water's pushed through and the water separates. Salt water goes back into the ocean, fresh water into your freshwater tank, but not before it goes through here, which is the mineral filter. This is what puts minerals back in your water. This is the control panel. This is what will be displayed in your boat somewhere, the only part you should see. Yeah, you can start drinking your water. Nice fresh water out of the ocean. Who would have thought?
So what you're going to want to do is to read the manual and then read it again until you have a thorough understanding of where things need to be located. Some below the waterline, some close to the batteries, so on and so forth. That's all in the manual. Once you've got an understanding of that, the hardest thing will be finding a space to mount everything. Once you've got a little space for each component and you're happy with that, then you want to grab some marine plywood and start cutting out your mounts, some adhesive, and you're on your way then. So this is one mount that I'm going to put in place just down here. There'll be another one here so that we can stick the high pressure pump in this location here. The mount's in place. I've also got the membrane in place here. High pressure pump now we're going to put down on here, and because space is always at a premium on these yachts, what I've done is I've put these little feet inboard. What I'm going to do is put some double-sided tape, stick that on, place it in place, and then unscrew these bolts and then drill down from there and then bolt them up.
Next we mounted the control panel, which was fairly simple. We just had to make sure there was enough room behind for the hoses that we would later connect to and from.
One thing that's not in the manual that is good to know is to figure out which one of these is test and which one is tank. At the back here is that you can disconnect this middle nozzle here and blow into this. That is currently in the test position. So you know that the bottom one there is going to be going to your test, the top one is going to be going to your tank.
What have you done?
What have I done?
Yeah.
I've passed my apprenticeship as a Watermaker installer.
Well, not yet.
Guru, star. Nah, I'm killing it. Dealt with my eyes closed.
So the filters are being mounted.
Yep. This is more of a tip. You can mount these brackets. Intuitively you'd imagine that you'd stick them around the other way, but if you stick them like upside down, I suppose, it gives you a little bit more room so that when you unscrew the filters for servicing, you can access them, you know, easily.
We're outside for a change.
How good's that?
Yeah, not in that dark den.
In the dungeon.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Just drilling holes in the boat.
Oh yeah.
This is going to be the through hole for the brine. So when they separate the fresh water from the salt water, there'll be a solution which is high in salt called brine, and you need to get rid of that. So we're just going to send it out over the back there. It's just a little through hole, so you gotta buy this, but it's sort of whatever size you want. It's empty.
Next, we installed a tap or spigot in the bathroom, which will be used for testing the product water. You'll need to purchase a little tap, and it's important that the tap has no shut-off valve that will restrict any flow and cause the tubing to burst. The sea strainer and the booster pump had to be mounted below the water line, and our best and closest option was the cabinet in the aft head. There was very little space, and we just managed to place the components and the hose connections together in there. There was also a tiny bit of space for the freshwater flush filter, so we mounted that in there as well.
The seawater intake for the whole system is better to have its own designated through hole, but if you're like us, you're not going to want to get pulled out of the water specifically to have your Watermaker installed. So you can quite easily just tap into an existing through hole. So this here is the mineral dispenser, which I've installed on the wall here, right up the back. There's also a hose running along here that goes from the membrane to the through hole, which I drilled in the back of the boat. That's the Brine Water.
After you've mounted all your components, the next step is to connect everything together using the hoses that are provided in the kit. It's actually really easy. If you read from the manual, it'll tell you exactly what connects to what.
Excited, nervous. Today is the day that we start up the Watermaker. So we've got the system operating instructions here. Step 1, make sure that seacock is open. Roger. The first thing that you want to do is replace the yellow transport cap with the black breather cap. Make sure that the service valve is in the operating position. Open the pressure control valve all the way counterclockwise. Set the diverter valve to the sample position. Switch on the boost pump and switch on the high pressure pump. Never allow any leaks in your hose or tube connections, and check for brine discharge at the output location. Okay, now a really good tip for everyone. On first startup and on each filter change, there's going to be air in the system, so you can run a fresh water flush with the seacock open to get rid of the air. Slowly close the pressure control valve until the output reaches the specified 50 litres. We will not need to apply a maximum working pressure of 900 psi because the water here is slightly brackish. It's not a beer.
Alright, first taste of the water.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm a little nervous. What do you think?
It's awesome.
Yeah. It took Riley and I a few weeks of research before we could actually decide on what Watermaker to buy, because there's a few on the market and each have their own different list of pros and cons. The first decision we had was having to decide between battery or generator powered units. We chose the 12 volt as we didn't want to rely on our generator alone, but we figured that the wind and solar power that we have would be enough to handle it no problems. Next, we had to decide between an energy recovery system or a conventional DC Watermaker.
So the cheapest energy recovery system we found was about $7,500 US, and the best conventional Watermaker that we found on the market, the most reliable, was the Ecotech, which came in at just over $5,000 US.
The recovery systems are a little more expensive because they save you a bit of power, but we worked out that the power you were saving actually equates to a 50-watt solar panel, which costs you $150.
The last decision that we had to make was between getting a self-contained unit or a modular, which was easy for us because space on a yacht is at a premium, and with a modular you can just stick and stash different parts of it wherever you like. Wash your feet.
Riley, you have made me wash my feet 17 times.